Page 132, divide fractions. Let's take, for example, this multiplication problem, just as kind of a warm-up to illustrate something to you, to kind of show you what's going on. So if we have the whole number 4, we're going to multiply it to the fraction half. The one thing I need to do is making sure I put everything in fraction form. Once I do that, you this on? Yeah, go ahead. Once we do that, we realize that with 4 and 2, they both have 1 in common. I can divide them both by how many 2's in 4? And 1 will give us 2 over 1, which is equal to 2. Now, I want you to look at that carefully. What did we do with the 4? Essentially, we did what? Alexis? We cut it in half. Did we not cut it in half? Yes, we did. We multiplied it by half, okay, and we ended up with 2. Now, when we divide with fractions, oftentimes, cutting it in half is the same as dividing it by 2, right? It depends on how you want to look at it. When I multiply, and when you take a typical multiplication problem, 3/8 times 3/8 times 1/5. I mean, really, all you're doing is you're going across and you're multiplying. Okay, and I would get 340. That's the great thing about multiplication is I can take any two numbers and multiply them. The same can't be said about division. Remember way back when we made equivalent fractions and we said you can make equivalent fractions by multiplying or dividing. The easier of the two methods is using multiplication because you can pick any number you want to. It doesn't always work the same way with division. So when we see division problems and we say, okay, we'll use our first example, 2/3 divided by a 3/4. The first thing we're going to check is to make sure that everything is in fraction form because that's what we need. But if you look at this problem and you say, okay, when I multiplied, I went from left to right and I multiplied the numerators, then I multiplied the denominators, and then I made sure everything was in simplest form, and then I circled it and I called it my final answer. Now, 2 divided by 3, does that work? No. 3 divided by 4, does that work? Does that mean that I have no solution to this problem? No. Let's go back to this example. We said that we took the 4, we cut it in half, but we also said it's the same as 4 divided by 2. Cutting it in half is the same as dividing by 2. Well, the rule for division says this. Yes, we need everything in fraction form, but we're not going to divide. We're going to multiply by something called its reciprocal. What is 2 as a fraction? 2 is 2 over 1. Its reciprocal is when I flip it. I take the bottom number, I make it the top number, I make it the bottom. It's reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply by its reciprocal. Well, if 2 is 2 over 1, its reciprocal is 1/2. Did we not just do that? And we got 2. So that's why we're saying in this case, multiplying by half would be the same as dividing by 2, because after you flip, the flipping enables us to do the multiplication that we can do, because we can multiply any two numbers. Can't divide them. So let's go back to this one. Use my 2/3. I'm going to now multiply by its reciprocal. I'm not going to divide by 3/4. I'm going to multiply by its reciprocal. So I'm going to change that to a multiplication sign, and I'm going to flip this. So it's no longer 3/4, it's 4/3. Now we can go back and say, all right, 2 times 4 equals 8. 3 times 3 equals 9, simplest form. We're good to go. Now it's very, 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 very important that you understand the first fraction is untouched. You do nothing with it. You don't flip the first one. You don't pick which one you want to flip. You always flip what you are dividing by. When you read that problem in green, 2/3 divided by 3/4. Always flip what you are dividing by, and that's it. Don't flip them both. You just flip what you're dividing by, or the second one. Okay? And then it's just a regular multiplication problem, just like you've been doing for the last few days. All right? You want to try one? All right, Maya, can you help me out? And do I do anything with the first fraction? No. We leave it the way it is. And I don't care. It doesn't matter if this first one's improper. Remember, fraction form means fraction form. Doesn't matter if it's improper fraction form. I need a top and a bottom. So I'm going to multiply by its reciprocal, which happens to be 6/5. Now, once you get to this point, 6th grade, now you treat this like you've been treating all the other multiplication fractions that you've been working with. Is there anything in common with the 7 and the 5? How about the 6 and the 3? Both divisible by 3, right? There's 2 there and 1 there. I mean, why not? Might as well. 7 times 2, Maya. 1 times 5. Improper, gotta fix it. How many times can I put 5 into 14? Twice gives me 10. Take 10 away from the 14, how many are left? Yes. Okay, so different way how? You didn't simplify these?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so like we said before, you can still get the right answer, because then you would have had 42/15.
Yeah.
Okay, 42/15, and you'd say, okay, twice gives me 30, and I get 12/15. But I know of at least one of you that left it as 2 and 12/15. So you have to make sure, right, that, sorry, that's close, but it's still going to be wrong, because it has to be in the simplest form possible. So yes, do this. Reduce, okay? Like, you say, I don't know I was supposed to do that. Well, it's not supposed to be a punishment. It's supposed to kind of simplify things before you get to this point and mistakenly leave it as 12/15 instead of 4/5 like it should be. Yes? Yeah, once you get here, like I said, once you have set it up, now you treat it like you've been doing the multiplication all along. The only thing different today is what? What is the only thing different today than what you've been doing the last couple of days? Liam? You're changing the division sign to a multiplication sign, and you are flipping the second fraction. That's it. That's the only thing that's different today. Everything else, once you get to this point, it's the same as what we've been doing. We've been multiplying with fractions. Okay, Eli. First thing needs to get done is what? Okay, good. Then we do what with the division sign? And then what? 4/3. Awesome. Good. Perfect setup. Now, Eli, anything in common with the 6 and the 3? I can divide both the 6 and the 3 by. Not by 2. Well, help me out. Let's do it now the right way. 6 and 3. How about if I divide them both by 3? I got 2 3s up top. How many 3s here? 1. So now, Eli, 2 times 4 and 1 times 1 equals, very good. Awesome. There you go. All right. So, Edsel, the first fraction I don't touch, right? Stays the way it is. Then what, Edsel? Like so? I mean, we got it. See, look, genius. So on the worksheet I just handed you, 6-4, 10 through 18, okay, 9 problems. Redo worksheet 8-3, which is on the back of the homework that you had for today, numbers 7 through 11, okay?